You ever look at your dog and see that tiny flicker of confusion? He knows the gesture. He's done it 1,000 times. It's not stubbornness. It's something deeper, something changing inside. But even when memory fades.
You know that feeling you get when you look at your older dog, and maybe you feel this little pang of worry. They seem a bit more confused, or they're not quite listening to the commands they've known forever. It's a really common thing for anyone who loves a senior pup. So that old saying, can you really teach an old dog new tricks? Well, we're going to find out. Man, this quote from Reddit, it just hits you, right? You've spent years building this amazing bond with your dog, and when it feels like that connection is starting to fray a little bit, it's confusing. It can even be pretty heartbreaking. So if you've ever felt like this, trust me, you are not alone. It's so easy to just chalk it up to them being stubborn, you know? Oh, he's just testing me. But what if it's not a choice at all? What if these little changes are actually a sign of something much deeper happening inside their brain? That's exactly what we're going to get into. To really understand what's going on with our senior dogs, we have to go right to the source. We're going to take a look inside the aging brain and see what's actually happening on a biological level. Okay, so a key idea here is something called episodic-like memory. It sounds kind of technical, but it's pretty simple. It's the difference between your dog just remembering the command sit and them remembering a specific experience, like what toy they buried, where in the yard they buried it, and when they did it. And yeah, studies show dogs have this. And just like us, it's one of the first things that starts to fade with age. And just look at how common this is. A whopping 68% of dogs between 15 and 16 years old show at least one sign of cognitive decline. 68%. So if you're seeing these changes in your dog, it's not weird. It's actually pretty much the norm for dogs in their golden years. The official medical term for all this is canine cognitive dysfunction, or CDS for short. The easiest way to think about it is that it's a condition that's a lot like Alzheimer's disease in people. It's a progressive thing that affects their memory, their ability to learn, and even their general awareness. So how can you spot the signs? Well, vets use this really handy acronym, DISHA. D is for disorientation. Does your dog ever seem lost in your own house? I is for altered interactions. Are they maybe less interested in being pet, or suddenly way more clingy? S is for altered sleep-wake cycles. Are they up all night, restless? H is for house soiling, accidents in the house when they've been perfectly trained for years. And A is for changes in activity. Maybe they're less active, or they're just pacing around for no reason. It's a fantastic tool for us owners to keep track of these changes. So what's actually physically happening inside their head? Well, a few things. The brain itself can literally shrink. It can develop these toxic protein buildups called plaques, and it can suffer damage from these unstable molecules called free radicals. On top of that, it might struggle to get the energy it needs from glucose. These are real, physical changes that explain the behaviors we're seeing. Okay, so we've talked about the challenges. We know what's going on. But now we're at the turning point. Let's take that famous saying head on and completely bust this myth. I absolutely love this quote. A 9-year-old dog, and this is a certified trainer's dog, mind you, learning a brand new and very cheeky trick all on his own. I mean, if that doesn't prove that older dogs are totally capable of learning, I don't know what does. That's right. The idea that you can't teach an old dog new tricks is completely, totally busted. It's just not true. Their ability to learn doesn't just vanish into thin air. And the reason they can always learn is actually really simple. When you boil it all down, learning is just about making choices based on experience. And as long as your dog is alive and interacting with the world, they are having experiences. That means they're always capable of learning. Our job is just to help guide those experiences. So, now that we know they can learn, how do we help them thrive? Well, we're going to go through a simple but really powerful framework, 4 pillars that you can build to support your senior dog's brain health. So pillar number 1 is exercise. And we're not talking about crazy, intense games of fetch anymore. The focus really shifts to gentle, low-impact stuff. Think leisurely walks where they get to do a lot of sniffing and exploring, or maybe even swimming. The goal is just to keep their body moving and their mind engaged without hurting those aging joints. Pillar 2 is their environment. And believe me, small changes here make a huge difference. Putting down some rugs on slippery floors to prevent falls, getting a ramp to help them into the car, Even just making sure the house is well lit can boost their confidence. It's all about making their world feel safe and easy to navigate. Our third pillar is enrichment, and this one is so important. A dog's brain has to stay active. Puzzle toys that make them think, short and sweet training sessions, even just hiding treats around the yard for them to find. It all helps. You've heard the saying, use it or lose it, and it is absolutely true for a dog's mind. And our final pillar is nutrition. You got to fuel the brain to fuel the body. As dogs get older, their dietary needs change big time. Having a chat with your vet about senior-specific foods or supplements, that's not just a good idea. It's honestly one of the most powerful things you can do for their long-term brain health. Let's geek out for just a second on one specific supplement, MCTs. So, remember how we said the aging brain has a hard time using its main fuel source, glucose? Well, MCTs, which you can find in stuff like coconut oil, provide an alternative fuel. Think of it like a super premium gas that the brain can use really easily. And research shows it can have a real, lasting, positive effect on older dogs' minds. And as you can see, support comes in a lot of different forms. You've got the nutritional route with antioxidants and MCTs. There are medicines you should definitely talk to your vet about. And then there are simple behavioral things like just keeping a predictable daily routine. The big takeaway here is that there's no single magic bullet. It's all about building this multi-layered system of support. Okay, we've gone through the science and the toolkit, but the most important part of all of this, really, is how we approach these years. It really requires a fundamental shift in our own mindset. This approach here just sums it all up perfectly. It starts with patience and compassion, truly understanding they're not being stubborn, their bodies and minds are just changing. It means making gradual changes, not sudden jarring ones. And it's about always believing in their capacity for lifelong learning. So what all this means is that age isn't an endpoint. It's not a barrier. It's not a wall. It's simply a new season in the incredible life you share with your dog. And it's one that can offer a totally different, and maybe even deeper kind of bond. By embracing these changes with patience and proactive care, you can absolutely make sure their senior years are filled with comfort and joy and love. The question isn't whether they can still learn and enjoy life. The question is, how can we best help them do it?
Comment something your dog never forgot.